Okay, so I have a few things. But you know what I have come to realize is if you're on Twitter, you're going to see way more news than I'm going to see. Like Twitter, I guess, is really seeing everything. So, and I'm banned off Twitter, so I have no idea what's going on Twitter. I can just tell you what's going on TikTok. And I can't even barely go on that because holding my phone burns my fingers. And it makes my eye, all the whole thing. So, yeah, I don't want to. And besides yesterday, even, they were kind of showing me it gets to be a point where you're just sitting there watching the pot. Like we can see for sure. I mean, it is like if I had Twitter, I would be going on and looking and see for sure. So probably that's why they don't have me on Twitter, because I would get obsessive and looking all the time. But my guides definitely tell me, it's all going. Everything you see, you can see. It's all headed in the way, like, even though it's slow, like, oh my God, the 19th. And the only things I saw were people doing runs on the Bank of America and having fits, but I'm not seeing, and I saw one thing about a storm hitting Ohio, and it was going to be tornadoes and also, I don't know, probably something absurd like snowstorm, tornado storm, some ridiculous thing, because they're just inventing new storms. And so some horrible one up there where people were saying you better evacuate. So, I don't know. I haven't seen any other videos about California. I haven't seen any about any stuff. The stuff I keep seeing is very different. It's really weird. It's like they keep moving my algorithm somehow, switching it up. It's really strange. But because I'll just get all of these ones, and maybe it's because they have to keep shuffling me. Like, man, they do not want my videos seen. like they do everything they can to hold me back. It is just weird because I know they hit some people with community guidelines, even though it's not. I mean, they've hit me and hit me and hit me. I don't know. I haven't even noticed if they took off the account warning yet. I'm so used to seeing it. So I don't know. They definitely don't want to speak in the truth. And both my accounts, TikTok and YouTube right now, are very, very contained as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, there was something else I was about to say about that. Well, anyways, there's this TikTok, though, that I wanted to talk about that was like, oh my God. There's some other things too, but this won't quit going out of my head. Okay, so just to give you perspective, like I've talked about this drive I've done a lot of times, like going down to go see my daughters down. So in Washington, you have to cross the passes to get out from where I am. So you have to cross the mountains. Once you get out there, you're in the more central, but it's very hilly and mountainy still. It's not like, but it's more deserty. So then you have to go in central Washington and you have to go down south to go down to my daughters. So as you're taking that drive, so you're kind of going out from Seattle and then kind of swirling down. And right in there, if you look on the map, there's a little place called Ellensburg. And we always stop there to get gas and stuff. And especially when you're on your way to Spokane, because it's right in the middle. But when you're going to Spokane, you're going straight across the state. In this way, you're swirling down. So that is the one I did more recent. But either way, you have to pass through Ellensburg. It's like as you are, it's on one side of the pass or the other. I can't remember which side. But anyways, it's right around there. And I think it's on the other side of the pass. But so it's like right in really mountainy. It's really small. It's got college town and a lot of farm area. So it's very rural. It is really small. I used to go in, when I was a traveling nurse, I would go and work at that hospital. A lot of rural hospitals would be short-staffed. So I would go and work at that one. So I'd been in that town a lot of times. It's a really cute town. But anyway, so the story was this guy, and he's called Mel, and he has a little farm outside of there with property. And this is what I had said so many times when I'm out driving. In order to go through Ellensburg, you're on the interstate. But, they're always controlling our movement. That's what I know. There's very strategic placement of everything they do. And so in the state highway drives, though, I was saying, like, you go and it is like the time and space changes. It's like you're in some sort of a portal. It's like weird. And I said, I think that is why they try and control our movement. It probably has a lot to do with why they started pulling people out of small towns, pulling them into cities, which I think was all controlled movement of the herd to control us in a more contained area. Because if you go out and you were to live in the Appalachian, you would find people who totally believed in folklore and supernatural, that they pass those stories on and they don't respect the government. You move into the cities and then you just find all these people who respect whatever the government, NASA, CDC, FDA, like all they got to do is throw up some letters and the people are all about it. Like, oh my God, sainthood. So anyways, but if you go into communities that are long-standing, that haven't been broken down, and a lot of them too, the sad thing is a lot of those communities were attacked with pharmaceuticals, with they've always used these instigator drop-in, go into an area that you want to target and take in a certain drug and get everybody there addicted, spray the crops with your fumigation, get everybody with cancer. Like, they have a certain way of wiping out communities. They've been doing it for a fucking long-ass time. I mean, and now it's not like conjecture. It's not like, well, maybe. I mean, all the evidence is just in your face, where they've been trying to hide the evidence. Like, fucking whole towns have sued them and shit. They've murdered whole communities. So, anyways, but I have said about that there's portals. Like, I know that it's portals, and I know that's why they try and keep us out of certain areas, and that's why, you go into certain areas and people just disappear, especially in the mountains, and it's always in places outside of cities, although there is plenty of portals in cities, and I think sometimes that there's probably chaos and more hectic and people don't notice. And another thing too is that there's more people who are now into the hidden history with the Tartaria and the mud floods and stuff, and so they're going out and looking around their own towns and stuff, which I had started doing too. I started noticing, like, yeah, windows down on the ground, like, why are there windows in the ground? And so then I was seeing this guy who was showing his, and it's real weird how a lot of it's churches too. And then, but I was like, that is how they create this whole underground city. Like in that show that Jordan Peele did, and it was like we all had like these doppelgangers underneath us that were living, and they all wanted to come to the surface. But I think that there's some hidden meaning, and I don't know, if he's just like connected and picks up on messages and stuff. I don't really know his whole role, but he has definitely brought things to the surface. But who knows if he's doing it as disclosure, as part of the system. I mean, Jesus, he could be a clone for all I fucking know. And, but also with M. Night Shyamalan. But I think he's legit. I think he is somebody who is really trying to get us to see certain things. And he's got kind of I don't know, I like his style. Like The Village, to me, I mean, I think there's some movies that are so representative of our lives, our reality. Truman Show and The Village is really so much of how I see things. And even more than that, but because also Westworld, Planet of the Apes, like there's a lot, But it's all about one species or being like outwitting, outsmarting the others and controlling them. And oh, this was so creepy. I still haven't finished the other story, but this was creepy as shit. Okay, so there's something with this glass mirror, all about this glass and mirror thing or something that I had been talking about still with that mirror and the flipping, like this whole thing. So I keep seeing more things about this kind of stuff. Probably because I sat and watched that video. Some more videos about that kind of stuff pop up for me. But it's some sort of glass and you can look through it. And it's kind of like in that movie Them. That's what he did the comparison to, this glass that you can look through. And I can't remember what he called it or anything. So you'd have to do some research if you're interested. But you can look through and you see the soul instead of seeing, like you don't see the exterior, you see inside, the interior or something. And it's something about picking up the heat or something, I'm not sure. But anyways, the thing that was trippy was they used this to go, it was the whole, all of Congress was sitting in the auditorium and they were going over the group. I would say probably a third of them are human. And there was some creepy looking things, real creepy looking, some really funny looking things, some really strange looking, very Men in Black, the old Men in Black, where it showed all those different creatures. Definitely was like that. Like it was, and who knows? Like, I mean, people are out there just making it their whole thing to do these weird fake videos and stuff. Like I still don't know if the black ball flying through the air with the helicopters was one of those. And everybody starts sharing it because they have ways of getting those in there. And it's just to keep the chaos, to keep the people who are haven't started questioning things, to just keep it, it is just to keep everything in chaos. I just saw this woman, it was mental. I'll still go back to the other story. That there was, she was, like I had said, like there's a certain look for a certain group of people. Usually has wacky glasses, wacky hair and stuff like that. So, and it can be my age and they'll, carry that whole look forward. So it's just kind of like a distinct descriptor or something of a certain mindset. So anyways, she was, her video, well, I went in to block her just right away. I was like, oh my God, somebody who thinks like this, I don't even want her. Ooh. And she only had 500 followers. So she's not out there preaching to a bunch of people, but oh my Lord, she was so passionate about it. And, that those of us who have not done this, we are so fucking ridiculous that we go around saying, like this has gone on too long and stuff like that, because we're the problem. If we would just go get them, we wouldn't have to wear masks anymore. It's all of us. We're the problem. And she was still saying that shit. It's like, oh my God, girl, what propaganda do you, I mean, Jesus Christ, there's so much truth coming out on that whole situation. It's like, what rock do you stay under to keep yourself hidden from the truth? Like, it's creepy, it's spooky. But those are the ones that I'm telling you that when they see the truth, their world's going to flip upside down. And that's one thing that I've been on a lot of videos. That this one, somebody did a video, what was the moment that you woke up? And so then all these people stitch their awakening to it. And a lot of medical stuff, which, I think is a big one. Government stuff, for sure. I mean, that was for me. Like, I already knew the medical stuff, so that wasn't like what woke me up. What woke me up was seeing the manipulation behind the media. When I was like, oh my God. Like, I knew that there was like a leaning this way or a leaning that way, but straight up manipulation and lying, it was like, that was the shocker to me. So, but that's when everything fell into place. That's when all of a sudden, and then I started looking at people differently, like what they listen to and what they believe and who's messing with their minds. And so that is, you know, it's been great because it's given me a lot of clarity and insight into my reality of being around people. Otherwise, I would find it very frustrating. And that's another thing where I see a lot of videos, people being really frustrated, and a lot of people really confused. A lot of people, it seems like, taking the next step in their awakening where they feel like they're doing really good and ready to start helping other people, and they feel really excited. And that is the thing, is like I said, it's kind of like in waves. Like I'm in this first wave, so the people I'm talking to are already more mind expansive. Like people like who have not woke up at all, they don't understand what I'm talking about at all. Like I'm just talking a bunch of foreign sounds. So you have to be at a certain level to understand me. So that wave is the one who is like behind me, I think, or along with me. But I think a lot of people who are in my wave have had to step into roles to help other people. And that, to me, is what's going to be this next one. So you have this whole group right now that is coming forward. I see their videos and stuff that, you know, and they're feeling good. They've gone through this and that, and they're really understanding now that this is about a spiritual thing, and they're excited and all of that. And so you have those people with that attitude. You definitely have the other attitude. You know, the ones that are, those are the ones I worry about. Those are the ones that are like, when your world is so twisted, so in the wrong direction, and it twists back, it's going to be like a whiplash. And that is something that they showed me this morning that I thought was really cool. Was like, we're on this roller coaster and we've been chugging, getting to the top. You know, and I'm telling you, this chug to get up to the top, we know how tedious it is. But so we're chugging. When we get to the top, it's going to go fast. Like everything is going to start happening fast. It's not going to be like we really have to question. Because now still it's like, you know, you have to go out and look. Is something going on? Is something going on? And so however long they're going to drag this Joe bullshit out. And obviously whatever ended on the corporate thing, I'm sure it's just part of whatever had to end. You know, maybe it didn't have to be Joe had to be out or something. But, you know, I mean, obviously, though, we really don't have a president. We just have this puppet guy in there. So that could all be just a bunch of words, you know, that since he really isn't one anyways, we didn't need to take him down because he isn't really one anyways. So I don't know. All that stuff will come out. But, you know, it's still, I mean, we're going in that direction. The banks are still going down. And I'd seen somebody say, like, this could drag out for a couple months on the bank thing. It could be the Bank of America, and then nobody can get their money. And it is kind of, if you look at it in a positive way, it's kind of to get people to wake up and question things and go to their own bank and start realizing, like, shit's about to get serious. Because so many people are still just, they're going to be blindsided. And it's like everything is falling down around you. And, I mean, if you have anything to do with me, I'm fucking screaming it in your fucking face all the time. Like, and, you know, my kid's sitting there saying, oh, your beliefs. Well, you're going to be thinking my beliefs here pretty quick. You're going to be, like, shocked that you couldn't ever listen to me. You're going to be questioning yourself. What was my bias against my own mom when she was trying to warn me of what was to come? But, you know, teach his own. That's their lesson. It's not mine. But in that wave of the people who currently that are in more preparation, because there's going to be like a different, there's going to be like subcategories in there, because there's going to be people who have been still being really assholes about some stuff, and they're going to go through some extreme loss and stuff where things are going to flip, because everything is, the thing is where you can see like what's going to go. It's just notice, how are they connected to the 3D? How are they giving up their own lives? You can see, well, then that's what's going to be pulled out from under them. A lot of people, their health, because that affects everything, you know. And then I can't even tell you how many videos I've seen, video after video after video, of people having affects their health, and there's no help out there. You're just, people are seeing now the bullshit behind everything. People are seeing the bullshit behind the pill, all of it. And so they're all talking about that. So that is a big one that is going to continue affecting people's health. And so we have all of that. But so when this switches, so you have this group of people who are like, I think of kind of like the second wave. Like, it seems like, because mine was already in 2015, my awakening was already going. And mine started with the spiritual stuff. And then it moved into reality. But I was already, spiritually, I was already way beyond anybody who I knew anyways. But it was just something different. I don't know how to explain it. It was like you had a coat in the closet for a long time, and then you got it out and you cleaned it up and you got it all fixed, and then you started wearing it all the time, kind of. So, but there's a lot of people who woke up in 2020, but then they had no spiritual contact at all like that. So that's like a whole group. And those are the ones that are more inclined now, that they really want to do, like, because you start feeling this order of mission. Like, you realize you're here to help one another, and it feels so strong in your soul. And so you have that group. Then you have the group who is still, they are still talking shit and being rude to people. And I think a lot of them, there's going to be, it's like a group on both sides of the aisle, basically. It is like these two distinct groups, but they're gonna both be in like this gray area. It's gonna kind of be like they're in this like sludgy kind of stream for a minute, of utter confusion over who's right and who's wrong, and seeing that it isn't about who's right and who's wrong, and seeing about that it's not about blame. And like, it's going to be very transformative, but it's kind of like the ones in the water have to clear the muck themselves. But that's going to be where things are going to get dramatic, and all depending on the area, because it still is very, very contained kind of situations happening in different areas. But I knew that was going to be a part of it, so that doesn't surprise me. And I keep seeing different, things like that, like the Philly thing with all those kids. Just kind of stuff like that, but not like where during the storms, you could go and you could see lots of videos of the storms, and hear people talking their testimony about what was going on and stuff like that. I haven't been seeing any of that. But anyway, so I want to get back to this little farm in Ellensburg. So when you go out, I know this world is all supernatural and magical. I know that there's portals, like, however they've shown me, it's something about the reflection. So it's like you can go through something that has reflection, and I know that's something about with water and density, but there's something about that. And I don't know, I'm sure we're going to learn more about it here coming up pretty quick. But, if you haven't seen the footage either of this orange cloud thing, I don't even know what the hell to even call it. And the footage I saw was like a guy outside. I thought he was like in the Midwest. And he was showing this footage, and he was just carrying on like, oh my God, what the hell? And he was freaking out, and he kept showing this thing. And then I saw someone sharing it today who was saying it was in Turkey. So I don't know if there's several of these, but it's that same thing where people go get this footage and then they manipulate it and then they put it out like it's... So anyways, this big orange cloud, I think you can see it, it's trippy looking. That's for sure. And what was I going to say? Something about that magical... But the skies, there's definitely something with the skies and the water, but I think it's something to do with energy and plasma and expansion. And so I know I just look at it on a different kind of perspective or different kind of way. But anyways, I just know everything around us is really a lot more supernatural. It's like the containing is not just about containing us in our physical, but also containing us in our mental. And so keeping us very contained so that we don't, because if we started seeing if we started really thinking about, oh, there's ghosts in my house and there's, spirits out or things out that walk in the night, in the dark and all of that stuff. If we really knew about all that stuff, then we would start realizing that we were more. We would start understanding, oh, so we're not just like this weird mistake out spinning out like we're just bacteria that grew on a rock or something. So we would, begin to understand that there's purpose, there's meaning, there's other beings here, there's other realities happening around us, that there's realms and stuff. And, we probably have some explorers out there, because just like this, which also trips me out about this too, is because there was a movie I even had in Newcastle After Dark, in one of their comments, I had even requested them once to look for this movie. I don't know if they saw the comment, I don't remember, but, they didn't find it. And I don't know if it was called The Pit, but it was this movie that traumatized me. And I'm trying to think, I would think that maybe I was around 6th grade, I think, when I saw it. And it seemed, I think it was like a trilogy where it was 3 stories in one movie. And it had, in one of the stories was this big pit. And you went in it. I can't remember the whole thing. It was very, very scary. It terrified me. And so I've wanted to see it again to see, if I would be terrified. And then when Outer Banks came, and it was like, oh my God, it's one of those big holes. But I had already seen more about those big holes now, because there's like all sorts of sinkholes opening up. That's another thing I've seen. There's sinkholes opening up all over the place. And so now I've seen like about sinkholes, and now I understand more about earthly realms and how everything's layered and all of that stuff. So the sinkhole things, I see them differently, but this big hole in that, it wasn't like, some of these are not just like sinkholes, like where you can see anything inside. They're like portal holes. They're like holes in the Swiss cheese. And so this one out here on this Ellensburg farm. And so the whole story, and this is around 1996. And so he, it's this close. And I don't remember ever hearing anything about this. So he had this farm out there, and he had this giant, giant hole. Ever since he had ever had it, he had this hole. And so he started just using it to throw garbage in it. And so he said that then the neighbors did too. They all started throwing their garbage in it. And it was kind of just like a dump where people started throwing their stuff in it. And, but the guy said it never filled up. It never got stuff. So we started thinking, how curious, because people throw out appliances, all sorts of stuff. He said it never got anything in it. So he was a fisherman, and so he decided to measure the depth of the hole. And so he had to go through several spools of fishing line, and I think he went through 80,000 feet and still had never reached. He said it was like 15 miles and had not reached any bottom. So he was tripped out. He was talking to one of the neighbors, and the neighbors said, well, I'll tell you something weird, is that my dog died. So I went and threw him in the hole, which was kind of skeezy, but he just like tossed it in the hole. It's like, dude, can you not give some respect to your dead animal? Fuck. And then he said that the next day his dog was out running around, and he knew it was his dog because he had the collar on. He was out running through the forest, and he started calling him, and the dog just looked at him like he didn't know who he was and just kept going. And so it was obviously like outer range, which even made me, and that story made me even think, is this whole based on outer range? And so that one is supposedly in Wyoming. And so this guy, whatever, he started noticing that the dogs wouldn't go up next to the hole. No birds, nothing would fly. Everything goes around the hole. There's no insect. Everything is like this dead space around the hole. And so he decided he needed help. He needed to figure out, like, what the hell is this? And there was nobody to talk to about supernatural stuff, like. And so, it's like the National Enquirer. And so there was a radio station, and this radio station, he talked about this kind of stuff. Kind of like the character Mel Gibson or something in Conspiracy. But, kind of more like a radio station he would call into. So it was somebody who, but I think even Mel Gibson did a radio show on his. So, it could have been kind of being representing who this guy was, because his radio show was all about spook stuff. And so he called him, and he said, he started telling him about it. And he was on the show. He was a guest on the show for 1 hour or something. And then he told him about it and was asking if anybody knew anything and for help and stuff like that. So the next morning, the military showed up. So the military was listening to the station, just like Mel said in the movie. Like, they're listening all the time, and they know who to listen to. Like, I'm sure they listened to me. I was one thing Charlie Freak used to say, because Charlie Freak knew some shit. And he would always say, just like me, they just tell me. They just tell me. And I completely could get what he was saying. But he had them show up before and want to know how he knew the stuff he knew, he said. And he said, they just tell me. And so his channel, I thought his channel disappeared and stuff. And then there was like even a thing where people started talking really sour against him. The last times I heard him talk, he was kind of getting like an ego. Like he was kind of getting full of himself. But, who knows? With all of the bullshit and all the MK Ultra, all of this stuff, I mean, for all we know, he was a planted soldier of their own. Or of the NSA to tell us stuff. I don't know. But I just know he knew some stuff, and I don't know where the hell he is. Which is weird. But anyways, but he could still be around. But so this guy, Mel, he comes, and the military is there, but they're the guy who's talking to him is dressed all civilian, and they're telling him there's been a plane crash in his property, and he's not allowed to go back on his property, and they have to go in and clear his property. And he's like, he knew there was no plane crash. He knew it was bullshit. And then, so he said something, I want to talk to who's in charge here. And the guy in charge came over, and he goes, I want to go on my property. Like, I don't know what the hell y'all are doing here, whatever. And he goes, your property's not yours anymore. And it is, and then started making all of these threats. Like, we can do this, blah, blah, blah. We can do this, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. And, and we know any of us who, well, if you listen to me, you know. So he's getting threatened by the military in just a very, matter-of-fact way. Like, this is what we can do, and we will do it, and this is now ours. So he went and called the radio show. And everybody on the radio show was like, they're listening. Like, what the hell are you doing? You need to shut the hell up. And so then they knew that the military, so the radio show sent people out, and they saw that the military had been out there and taken over this guy's property, and then the guy disappeared. And so, nobody could find him. And so he shows up 3 years later, and he said that they had taken his property. They had threatened him, like, they'll take it no matter what. They'll destroy you. And, they can throw you, it's like they can throw you in jail with trumped up charges if they want. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And so they said, it's either that or we'll give you $3 million, fly you to some other country. You're not allowed to come back here, and you have to sign an NDE, non-disclosure agreement, NDA. And so he had to sign one of those, which obviously still talked, because he told somebody that he came back. They paid him $3 million and told him to disappear. So, that in that hole is, oh my God, just the creepiness of, it just reminds me so much of that movie, The Pit. And that is back, that had to be the early 70s, like 72, 73, that I saw that movie. And so they knew about that stuff. I swear to God, on Outer Banks, I bet you it is talking about this guy's hole, because I don't know when the new season will come, but on the first season, it had some part where all of that military and stuff, that the girl who was the squatter, who figured out about the hole in the portal, because you could be killed, thrown into the hole, and then come back out, just like that dog did. And so, I don't know, I just thought that's kind of strange. But, they go in and they take over these places. And then, I'll tell you what's even creepier, because this is what came to me too, is then they take these guys and, I don't know if they drug them or MK Ultra them or force them, inject them with something or what, and then put them down inside those fucking holes and see what happens. And they were doing that like on the Philadelphia experiment. There's a whole thing about that. And there's an old man who talked about it, because they were doing it with a whole naval ship, trying to do something about making it disappear. Something you can look up about it. And whatever they did, trying to do it through a portal or something, I can't remember. But when the ship went through, you had all of these men that were stuck in the ship, like they had become a part of the ship, like trying to come out. It was really, like, you can look up about it and see. It's something that I find quite haunting. And this old soldier guy who talks about, I'm sure he's got to be dead by now, because I don't even know what the years of some of this stuff is that I've seen. And even if it was a certain year, like the way things change all the time, like could have just happened last week, I don't know. But definitely there's something with those portals, and how many more are those, just around. Like the Army didn't even know about that one. I bet you that is part of why they started flying drones everywhere. And then they go in and take over and make it a base and say, we're not allowed there and stuff. And I just saw this guy, and he was sharing something about Fort Bragg. There's something really shady going on, and they're not talking about it. And apparently they keep going in and finding guys dead in their beds. And so I don't even know all the stuff going on there. The guy who was talking about it said, if you have anybody at that place, I'd tell your family member to get the hell out of there, 'cause something's going on. Because everything is about them testing on us. Like, the thing is, too, with soldiers, is that they have to sign a lot of paperwork to join into the service, and in all of that stuff, where they're not allowed to tattoo themselves or whatever, because they're property, they sign over their rights. The government can do whatever they want to them. And they're tested on and experimented on. And then, funny enough, we watched this movie last night called The Equalizer. It was Equalizer 2. And it had Denzel as like a mercenary kind of, ex-soldier guy. He's more tries to help the people. And then, but it was, again, showing how these soldiers go through the training, because I've said it's all like vetting systems. They look for certain things that they want in society. They go to certain groups to look for it, go to certain places to find criminals, go to certain places, and they create criminals. They create the whole thing. And they create, girls with problems to be the prostitutes. They create everything that they do in this system because that's the kind of world they want to run. So in this, they had these soldiers, and like I talked about, like you go in to join the service, and then right away they start with their training and testing you, trying to break you. And then the ones that can push forward, like there's a certain way that they want these people to be. Like I said, is that they will vet them out into like being cops. That's why we have like a certain way, because there's one thing about with cops is they're just supposed to follow orders. They're just like fucking mindless. Just so they do what they're told. And so they look for those people. What people just do what they're told. Just follow orders. Just kiss, try and get their nose as brown as possible on the daily. So you got that group of people. They'll funnel them into certain jobs. Then you have these guys, they seem to be special forces. So I imagine that there's a lot in special forces that they go to first. But it's the corporations who are looking for private soldiers. And then they start creating all of this corporate espionage, and especially in regards to pharmaceuticals and science. So they create all of this espionage going on all around us. And then they, and we don't matter. I mean, they're trying to get to somebody, they'll kill you on the way. Like it's like they're mindless soldiers. They're just do a mission. They're on a mission. They do their technical stuff, and that is it. And people just don't realize, like, that is what our life is. Like, that is going on around us. That is the people you're trusting with your health. Like, it's eerie. But, and it's in so many movies. I can't even, like, all the stuff that I talk about is shown to me over and over. If there was something that was shown to me and it was showing me quite the opposite of something I said, I would say, like, but it isn't. They bring me all this stuff to disclosure. It was always like under our nose. They were telling us this shit the whole fucking time. But that giant pit thing, just being this open portal, and then and then being all around us, and how they keep all of this stuff secret. And people are starting to figure out now that something is going on in the sky. Something's going on with the planets. There keeps being something, I don't know, in the news. They keep talking about asteroids or something are going to hit into us. I don't even know. And so there's a lot of people talking about, like, why are they not telling us more? Why are they not trying to, help us or something? Then I saw this news clip where they were saying, why are they trying to make Californians leave California? And it was this whole thing. And to me, that one's clear, because, the ones that are paying attention, they want you to leave because it's going to be underwater. Like, people don't give any respect to the information that's put out by the government. The government discloses, but they're not going to just announce it because they panic and fear. Because the people paying attention will heed the warning, and the people who aren't paying attention, they're only here for the game, for, playing that thing. They're not here for the other part. Because if you are, then you are paying attention. So there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, California is definitely, it's going to be gone, like, for sure. I mean, it's gone on the map. Most of the West Coast is gone. The West Coast starts way over, like, parts of Colorado are gone. It kind of cuts out, like, the little corner of Washington State, cuts way around, and then comes back around. I don't even know how much of New Mexico and Texas. Like, there's a freaking big chunk out of the West Coast. So, yeah, I would think they should be trying to evacuate and move people inland and get them away from the coast. Because, yeah, it's... but there is more people who are noticing, like, the government's trying to cover the sky instead of letting us see what's going on, and while they're going and getting all these bunkers and shit. And the thing is is even if they go and get all these bunkers and stuff, which I saw someone else talking about, something, like the same thing I say, they just don't want to die because they're scared of, so they do whatever they can to stay alive. But all the things they do is immoral. So it's unethical, immoral. So that's why they start going completely against God. And that is why, because it's completely against nature. They are trying to be they're trying to even be over us, test on us so they can see what will work for them. And so the whole thing about the transfer of human consciousness and this, it's the same stuff I was already talking about, like kind of like cryogenics and stuff, like cut off your head and save it and all this stuff. I don't know, something about that. But they were saying that they don't want to die. If some person was talking about this, and then so this person listened to it and then was repeating it, but they said it's like when they die, they go into this deep, dark pit. And in this pit, they are kind of like melted energy, like they cease to have their own identity, go back into this like recycle bin. And it was weird how it caught my attention was because I had heard that before somewhere else, like the souls that are really so dark of energy that there's like no hope or whatever, like that's too much darkness, it's not productive for the universe, that they will be like disintegrated and then recycled and put into another energy or something like that. Like I heard that explained, and so she could have heard all that and be, resonating with it and explaining it. I don't know, but I had just heard it, so I was just putting that out there because I don't know, some of y'all might hear this kind of more often, but there's definitely a reason why these people don't want to die, why they want to just take parts off of us and eat us, and all their concern about the finding chrome and ways to exist and in their vampire ways. But to me, as far as I'm concerned, that when people are saying they're going to get in bunkers and they're going to survive this and they're leaving us all here on the surface and all that stuff, like, to me, they are parasites. Like, what are they going to start living off of? Are they going to take down, like, those people in Peru or whatever, where they had, like, the little corner of their kitchen and they've got the little cage up with all the guinea pigs. So is that what they're going to do? Just take some guinea pigs down there with them and keep them corralled. So when they need parts or food, well, those will become sickly. They'll become diseased and sickly. So, you have to be able to adapt. Are they taking some that they already have got under the surface? But people had already said those people who were under the surface were very sick. Like, I doubt they have parts that you would be able to use. Are they going to do a mass kidnapping real quick before they go down under the surface? Are they going to be warned? How fast are they going? Are they already gone? So there's a whole thing, and all these people are upset about it, and I was like, well, to me, we would be the ones who would survive, because we're the ones keeping this whole world alive. We're the hard workers. We're the ones with the instinct to survive. Those people have become parasitic. I bet some of them barely wipe their own asses. Like, they don't know how to take care of themselves in the least. So, somebody's been feeding them, cleaning them, taking care of them their whole existence. So, see them go out and, like, chop some wood or do something like that? I don't think so. So, these people are the survivors? I don't think so. This woman, I saw this scientist woman, and she said the mutations have already started being born, and that they're coming out with solid black eyes because there's some sort of thing about the grays. And she said that the grays are actually those people, the ones from underground, the elite people, that they become so sickly, they mutate into these grays, that the grays are here from the future to try and come back and fix this problem. But if that's true, then they're repeating the same problem if they're just trying to go back underground. But the Greys are here. That's why they do these hybrid baby things with people, with humans. So they've got that whole hybrid breeding program, but now they're doing it through that, the mutation. And I even saw this one spirit, loud squeal at me, this one spiritual person who was saying that what was it? Oh my gosh, I just skipped right out. It was something that was very strange, though. Like, it did not make sense to me at all. It's like, it always shocks me how people see things. Like, how does that make sense? But whatever. But anyway, so there's a hybrid program thing. Oh yeah, okay. So she said that this is a word you're not allowed to say either, because it starts with an M and it ends, it's 4 letters and it starts with an A, or ends with an A. So it's got that R and all that stuff. So they put in there to try and mess with, because they're trying to create, they're always working on a super soldier. So this woman said that all the aliens are here because they did that, because they're all so fascinated. It's never been done. Never been done. Please, kind woman, tell me where white people came from. Yeah, it's never been done. Okay, sister. And so, anyways, I mean, some people think that they're all up here cheering because they're, just started testing on us. It's like, okay, that's not what's going on, I don't think. But anyways, let me think what I was saying. Maybe I'm done talking. I don't know. Let me see. Because sometimes it'll just like, but I gotta listen for a sec. It seems like there's something I was talking about that I didn't finish. But anyways, to me, the ships are around. To me, they're either around because it's part of the disclosure. Because I'd heard that they're going to be like training us and helping us with technology. And so I've heard that. And then, which it makes sense, because then on the other thing with the solar flash thing, I've heard that they're going to be taking people. But if you think about it on this level, because of how slow everything's going, like, that is where, you kind of got to, and the going slow is tedious, but it's also, your opportunity to see why it's tedious to you, because it's clearly, people are waking up and it has to go slow. And did I finish saying that? Because I don't even know if I was being clear. Because that middle part, it's kind of like they're against each other. And they've got to kind of come into this equilibrium of understanding. But then you have this group over here on the outside who wants to help. And then you'll have the group on the other side that just won't be able to wrap their heads around it. Well, they'll either, somehow they'll transition out. Oh, yeah, that was it. Okay, so because you have to be raising your vibration. If these people are in there, they're leaving this reality. Even if they think they're still surviving, they're leaving this reality. This reality is leaving. So even if these elite people figure out a way for some of them to survive underground, and that they've got their cities, which to me, during the past couple of years, they've been going in and destroying those cities and probably destroying their bunkers. And, just kind of like if your yard is infested with some sort of rodent or insect, So I think they probably, closed off a lot of their escape routes. And then they also have the universal backing. There is other beings that are around that are trying to help. I mean, there's tons that are in human form. Even when you look through that glass, there's a lot in human form. that are here for, because it's about the universe. And it's not just about Earth and, you know, humans and stuff. It's way bigger than that. And so the, man, it's like I've got way too many things. So anyways, to me, if it keeps going slow like this, like just slowly waking people up, slowly, like each bank goes down one by one and gives everybody an opportunity to wake up and see. And it's so crazy because that is, like, it's kind of a real slap in the face. Like, people don't realize what a hard slap it's going to be when it's like, you know, you're down here to the end and you're still not seeing the truth. And so, you know, what are you paying attention to in life? So there's just a lot of things for, and, you know, people like with my kids and stuff who've had someone in their face telling them this stuff all along, but they can't hear me because they are biased against me. So that stuff's going to come to the surface for them. They're going to have to understand, like, why wouldn't I listen to my mom? Why would I blow my mom off like this? Like, that stuff they will have to understand. And I could see, like, that already going that other day when my daughter was, like, trying to tell me I'm going against her boundaries. You know, I've got to respect her if I want to talk to her and stuff like that. It's like, dude, if every single fucking thing that comes out of my mouth is against your boundaries, then why, like, who's not accepting who here? Like, I'm pretty sure. So I was like, you know, hopefully one day you'll be able to accept me. You know, I'm not going to sit here and have a relationship like, you know, where I'm just going to sit and listen to your opinions and I'm not allowed to have any opinions because I'm offending you. That's your business to figure out. You know, that's not an enjoyable conversation. So, but that to me was kind of like the start for her to begin to question her views or her perspective on her own mom. It's a lot of healing that has to go. And there's a purpose behind the birth process and the initial relationship of your caregiver. And it's stuff inside of you to promote your healing. And, you know, it's crazy how some of it can be so attached to past lives and past lives that you've had with this person before. You know, it's the same people, but it's the past life you're healing, but you're playing it out in this other way, like so that you can be promoted to bring those things to the surface or something. You get my drift. So anyways, I think it's going to keep going slow and tedious as we chug to the top. But once we get to the top, it is going to go fast like a locomotive. No more chugging about it, I think. And, you know, maybe that will be on some people's lives and not on everybody's. Maybe some of us at a certain level where ours will start going really fast. And then other people will still be chugging up, you know, because there's one ride after another, one wave after another. And each wave has to hold out a hand to the other. That's the building of community and the creation of unity. I actually saw this one lady talking about that she thinks that is bad to create a collective consciousness because it's a containment. But to me, I see it as the creation of a collective consciousness is not a confining thing. It's a separation. It's a separation of something that we create. When we all come together, we create a separate energy that will then become unity, community. That is something that they have used to create their, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah kind of world. It's the same kind of thing, if you ask me. So anyways, I do think it's going to keep going slow like that. And it's going to be super dramatic when some of these people have to see some of this truth. And it's going to be something big that's going to be, you know, because, you know, I don't know. I know that the bank thing has got a lot of people talking, a lot of people paying attention. Probably is a lot of people running down to check on their ATMs and banks and stuff. But it's all the ATMs. It's not just certain banks' ATMs. It's all the ATMs are going to be running out of money because they've already confiscated it. There isn't any currency. As the currency comes in, they just take it. They don't put it back into recycle. And so, and then when they get ordered to have to put what's backing what's backing the currency, and they don't have any. It's all just a big fucking game. And then how much they're pushing right now. Oh my God. I cannot believe the loan. I am getting, I think 4 or 5 emails every morning about loans, and then about me refinancing, getting a new loan. And some of them are scams too, just to get your information. Like, you don't want to be jumping on any of these things that, some of them, all you got to do is open. And the scams are big. There was one scam where their family member, it was like their mom or their dad, called them in an emergency and needed them to hurry and wire them money because it was an emergency. And so the people did, and it wasn't even their family. It was somehow, when they call you and you talk to them, they get a recording of your voice, and then they use some sort of thing to manipulate it, and then use it to do scams. Like, it's weird. Like, these scams are so elaborate, but the reason they're so elaborate is because they're government approved. They're government created, and it's part of the system. They create the criminals. They create the criminal enterprise. It's all them. All the bullshit. So anyways, there will be, more and more of that going away, all crumbling around us. So that's the good news on that. And then hopefully they'll stop with the fucking spraying soon. Man, still is so sick. Oh, damn, it's fucked. And, but I did come to this realization this morning because I was talking to her, because she's really trying to communicate with me. Like, she really wanted me to come out and sit in this chair. She was having a fit this morning. And I'm clearing it. I was like, well, do you want to sit in it? No. She wanted me to sit in it, and she made it really clear. It was really cute. But then, and I'm having to give her so much medicine. Oh my gosh. Like, her tolerance has built up so much. But when I was talking to her this morning, I was like, there's going to be a bunch of plants. Like, yesterday when I was out cleaning up the yard, or the day before, there was all these plants growing. And I said, there'll be a lot of plants out there growing, and you go out there, and, Mother Nature knows your sickness. You're out there laying on her. She knows what you need. She's going to grow it out there for you. So when things start growing, you need to go out there and sniff around and find them. All of a sudden I got the image of, like, oh, she does that every single spring. She goes out and starts eating the plants. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's why in spring she always does a little better. So this one, when the plants start growing, I'm going to go out and see what she's eating and look it up. And then any of them that are anti-inflammatory or promote cell growth and all that stuff, then I'm going to see about making them into some sort of tincture or something, so she has it. But I told her, the sad thing is I told her the same thing last year. I said, this will be our last winter. Don't worry. We won't have to go through another winter. And then here we are, and this winter's kicked her ass harder than any of the other ones. And she's older, she's grumpier, she's sick of it. She's, I feel bad. I've got to keep her so doped up. Sometimes it seems like on the medicine, but she's built up such a tolerance. It's like, oh my gosh. So I really needed to get warmed up, and I just, man, I like everybody else. I'm just ready for change. I want access to the med bed. I'm sick of fucking feeling like shit. I'm sick of watching her deteriorate, and I really, really want the financial thing to erupt. As I really want to start getting the work done around here. I really want to get a camper or a van and start traveling around. Like, I'm just so anxious. Like, now, after I had even said, when I turned 61, this is my year. I was born in 61, and I'm 61, so this is my year. It's got to be it. It's like, oh my God. I'm going to be 62 in July, and it's already fucking going to be February soon. So my whole 61, something good's got to happen before I turn 62. I just feel it. So like, something's got to give. So anyways, it seems like there was some more stuff. There's like so many things, I'm telling you. Even last night, I was so trippy. I didn't even wake up until 5, and I did not want to wake up like she was, but I had to get up several times during the night. But that was weird because normally I'm up between 1:30 and 3, and so 5, and I was like, whoa, that is late because I'm doing this late. It's almost 9, and so what was I gonna say? Oh, because my dreams. Oh my gosh. I know the other day I was in Alabama. I know it. And I know I was talking to somebody about a house or something. And then last night, oh my gosh, I don't even know all these different groups of people. Like, there is a lot going on. Like, when our bodies go to sleep, it is a lot going on. It's, man, I don't even know. It was crazy. And so I don't even know what all. I'm just ready for something to change. I'm ready for things to start going in another direction. Just like, fuck, just take the censorship off of me for one thing. That would just feel so much better. Like, oh, something good is happening. So, anyways, I mean, you just got to look for every little thing to keep yourself going. And, even though it's going tediously slow and drawn out and drug out, but you just got to keep remembering there's a lot of people who aren't awake yet. And so it's got to go at this snail pace in order to get people. But there's going to definitely be something abrupt. I have felt it the whole fucking time. And just even this morning when they showed me that going up to the top, how we're chugging up to the top of that roller coaster. And then once we get to the top, and now it's going to just pick up speed and start going. So that's what I feel is going to be an abrupt change, like what they say with the pole shift and stuff. And I still think, we're super close. I don't know how it's all going to play out and how it's going to go. And, it's just, wait and see. But I know, it's an individual thing, what you do with everything handed to you, and all of this process is going to be going on. And, hopefully you are more into that healed thing, because it is going to be the people who can do the healing. Like, I mean, if those other beings are staying and going underground and becoming the grays or something, it's, they're low vibration, and their reality will not be like our reality. Our reality, we are creating our reality by healing, by doing the work. We are creating a reality based on love and acceptance. And so they're creating a reality based on, surviving and, something else. Ours will be a survivor spirit, like the spirit behind those of us who, survive this, because it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a big thing. It's going to be what the history of this new reality is all based on, where they tell them that they came from. It's coming from what's going on right now. And so it's very exciting. We are the history of the new place, the new existence and reality. And so, and the people who take it seriously, who do the work, they're going to be, the leaders and stuff in that new reality. But there's all these people, like there's a lot of people that are in the gray, and we don't know, are they going, or are they going somewhere else? They're going back home, But when people are getting all upset about the elites, building their underground bunkers and going down there and leaving us on the surface. Those of us on the surface, we have a better chance of surviving and staying human, as far as I'm concerned. Those people down there, they're comfortable down there. They got the lizard side of themselves. So they'll be underground and, transform into whatever funk they turn into. Not to say the grays are funk. I don't want to be judgmental or mean. But, especially if they are coming here to try and, right their wrongs. Because there's a lot of beings coming from the future. That's the whole thing with the blue avians and the Pleiadians, and I believe the Andromedans. I believe they all had some sort, and the Anunnaki, they all had some sort of karmic, back in the beginning of time, which, them coming out, they're going to be a part of this new building of time. But if they're here to help us in this transforming into this new reality, then and then the solar flash happens and they take people like that. That's the thing. It's just seeing all these different things that I've heard since, I understood that we were having this transformation happen, seeing how they all play out, how they all fit together, and, seeing in the physical what we experience, because it's all about the spiritual and the supernatural, mystical existence of life. That is the part. The rest, it's the focus you have on the game, and because you're just here to play this game, the game of life, So, anyways, I swear to God, I think I could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and just keep going around and in circles on some of that stuff because there's just so many things that they show me about with the game, this whole game and life and the experiences and the experiencer and all aspects and all perspectives. So anyways, to me, everything is super valid, but you have to validate yourself. You have to acknowledge yourself. That is the transformation. It is to prioritize you rather than trying to people please or whatever to be accepted. It's to really become yourself. Oh, and that's another thing where I've seen people in videos starting to realize oh, it's not about me trying to do this or that. I'm supposed to just be authentic. So see, I see it all the time. People transforming and awakening and becoming. So I know that is what all this is about. I know everything is about this supernatural experience and this transformation for this new age. But I definitely don't feel oh, the elites got one up on us, they're going to go save themselves. No. Whatever's going to go down, it's up to us to be the survivors for ourselves. Paying attention, looking at the map, figuring it out, listening to our guidance, and, thinking in that kind of way of how to survive. What do we need to do to survive? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people calling this the days of Noah. And so, I don't know. I don't know if, to me, when you have this whole thing about the Jubilee and this change, it's hard for me to really imagine that we're going to go through even weeks of lack. We're going into receiving. We're going into abundance. So, but whatever time period that we have to endure, that is the time period that is needed for the people who are using that as their catalyst to wake up. So we just have to keep in mind that we are partaking in a whole genre of experiences. So it's like a lot of different things happening, and it is, it's out of our control. And we have to, that's part of the maintenance of self, is to be able to control your mind and emotions when things are out of control. So anyways, it's all just practice. It's also, it's just learning to become your best self, learning to be the best you can be, and you being the one to decide what that is, and being open to the experiences that life brings you so that you can learn and grow from your time that you have dedicated to being here for that purpose. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that the things start speeding up. Hopefully we're just right up there at the top. It's so funny how they had shown me so long about that tsunami wave. And because it's really like the same kind of visual, really. And I don't even remember. It was something about, because I was saying about this chugging. I was telling Stella about something, that things are going to take off. I'm telling you, things are hard right now, but it's going to take off like a locomotive. And then they gave me that whole visual. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Because it has felt like that. Just this chugging, knowing when you get to the top, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. And chug. And then we're going to get to the top, and then we're just going to be flying. Be ready to put your arms out and just go with the flow. So I think it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to things start going the other direction. So stay faithful and hopeful and stay safe and stay on your toes. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.